so who is Dr. Khanyile, apart from what we see in social media, the person that I'm seeing now, of course. So who really are you?
So apart from being a doctor, a mom, a wife, I think the core of who I am is a mental health advocate. So I think I try to live that through everything I do. So as a medical professional, I try to apply a biopsychosocial approach. So biological being the physical stuff, us treating you, the medication we give you, etc. The psychological is how does whatever condition you're having and how whatever's happening in your life affect your health. And vice versa. And then the social, like what implications does that have for your job, for your family life, how you interact with other people. So, it's really difficult to go through that because people think it takes time, but it actually doesn't. Maybe it takes an extra 2 or 3 minutes to think about it,
Yeah.
The next thing would be just the moving into just my personal life with my family. Faith is a big part of that, and I think that's why I personally am able to uphold my mental health and try to support other people, because I understand where my source of energy comes from. And then just moving on to what the work that I do with Mental Matters. Just giving people practical examples of what living mental health looks like. Even though some days I burn out, even though some days I don't have the best day.
Yeah.
How do I go back and reset? So being an advocate, a mental health advocate, and a change maker in that space is what I really, really appreciate. And I think that's the core of who I am.
I love that. And now that you spoke of mental health, right, because you're the vice president of Mental Matters, and I think there's been a lot of awareness around mental matters, right? And I think people don't really still know what it really is, because there's stress, and I think I still don't know what it is. Because sometimes I'm like, okay, is my mental health being tested and tried if I am stressed at work, right? So what is really mental health, and how do you know that your mental health is being impacted?
So the World Health Organization defined it in 2019, right? So it's not necessarily the absence or the presence of all these things that we might think of, stress and whatever, but it's the ability of an individual to perform at the expected capabilities in society with normal stresses of life. And they're able to contribute to the society, right? It's also not the absence of a disorder. So what that means is, if you look at you and I, whatever society we are in, mental health will change. If we're in a first world versus a third world country, if we're in a more progressive society versus a more traditional society, definitions of mental health will change because the expectations on us will change. But also just within your own family, your mental health can be different, right?
Yeah.
Based on the role that you have. You also look at things like the societal stresses. So in South Africa, we don't have normal stresses, right?
Yeah.
We have things like load shedding. We have interest rate hikes that are insane. We have unemployment. We have crime. We have the gender-based violence numbers that we have. So already the baseline of our society is so abnormal that you're this close to literally having mental health issues, right? And then you're expected to contribute to your community. So that could be anything. I mean, if you are someone who is a housewife, your community that you're contributing to could just be your family.
Your home, yeah.
If you are a CEO of a company, your contribution is to your family and if you are someone who works as a teacher, so all those different things play into that. And then the most important part, and I always think people forget this, is it's not the absence of disorder. So just because you don't have a diagnosis doesn't necessarily mean you don't have mental issues, right? So I use the typical example of myself as a medical doctor. I mean, I see people dying, I have to resuscitate people, I see, I hear of horrible stories, but I necessarily don't have a diagnosis of a disorder. But it doesn't mean those things haven't affected me. And there's different triggers I have in my life that help me realize, oh, okay, wait, I'm starting to go back. I need to come back to my mental health. So it's all of those things play into a person, and your mental health plan and my mental health plan will not look the same because we're different people. We get affected by things differently. And that's the most important part. It's not only prayer, it's not only medication, it's not only exercise. It's a plan that we put together in a biopsychosocial approach that helps us get to where we need to be.
I like that. So for you, when you got into mental matters, was it really from a personal experience, or is it just from, what you've seen other people experience and you felt I need to get into this and bring more awareness and help everyone else?
Exactly. So my friend Gugu, who's actually the person who started Mental Matters, was having a seminar, and she asked me to come one day to speak about, depression. So major depressive disorder, MDD. And so I decided, I think there's going to be people who have been living with mental health issues, people who have family members, as well as other healthcare professionals, either psychologists, physiotherapists, etc., who were there. And so I thought what it would be nice to do is to explain to people why we give them the medication we give them. Because we all can Google what depression is. We can all Google what are the symptoms and all of that. But we don't actually know when someone says, take this medication. What is that medication going to do to me? Why do I need to take it for so long? How is it affecting the chemicals in my brain? Is that even natural? And so that's what we decided to do. And I think from then, every event we've had after that was going towards how do we bridge the gap between the understanding from the patient side and the understanding from the healthcare worker side. So the patient side could be the actual person taking the medication, or even family members who have to support, or friends who have to support that person, employers who have to support that person. What does that look like? So we talk about so many things, and I think for me, it helps me become a better doctor, because if I know why you are not wanting to take the medication, it could be making you sleepy and you work at night. It could be making you gain weight, and you're someone who needs to be in shape and you need to be skinny for your career. That kind of stuff helps me have insight into what you're going through and helps me adjust that plan to your life.
Makes sense. I love that. Because I think also even men and women deal with it differently. I don't know if I'm right. I think because generally with women, we do talk about a lot of how we feel easily and often, and men don't really speak about it. So what do you think should be done in order to make men be aware of their mental health a bit more?
So I think the most important thing for me is that with men, they do talk, right? Men talk all the time. They just don't talk about the things the way that we do. So I will check on you. I'll be like, Nagi girl, what's going on? I can see that you're feeling and changing, whatever. Whereas men will say, I'm so stressed. But nobody really inquires into what's stressing
them.
So men are actually talking to each other all the time. They're actually telling each other, either through their body language, through their behaviors, that something is happening in my life. The onus is then on the people around them to say, okay, what's going on? But also, if you as a man are going through something, it's important to say, or find one person in your life who you can speak to and say, listen, I need your advice on something. Or sometimes I just need to just get it off my chest. You don't always have to give advice, and you don't always have to have someone telling you what to do. Sometimes you just need to vent. And I think that's what women are really good at. We are like, girl, this one, and we're like, yes, my friend.
I'm ready to talk about it.
And you say, I know. And you
will go into it.
Exactly. Whereas with guys, they always want to give solutions. Okay, cool, you're fine, let's move on. So sometimes you don't have to. And it's funny because I always have to tell my husband that. I'm like, he's like, do you want an answer or do you want me to listen? I'm like, I just need to listen. I just want to cry. And he'll be like, okay.
You just want listening right now.
Are you fine now? I'm like, yeah, fine.
Yeah, sometimes you just want to vent.
Exactly.
It makes so much sense. So you spoke a bit about some of the challenges that you have as a doctor, right? Like, you watching people die, you watching, having to, what did you call it? Resuscitate people. So one thing that I've noticed about being a medical doctor is I think it has to be a calling.
Yeah.
It's not those professions that you do because they're cool. It's not those professions you do because both your parents did it. I think it's really a calling because it can take a toll on your emotions and everything around you. So how have you persevered through the medical profession itself, as well as the entire journey of you qualifying as a medical doctor?
So I think the first thing is when I started medicine, before I even did medicine, the things I applied for in varsity and the things I did in high school were geared towards really understanding how to balance my life. So I did everything. I did sports, I did cultural stuff, I did presenting, I did modeling, I did blah, blah, blah. But I also maintained my grades. So because I was used to that balance and juggling my life, it made it easier to go into medicine. Because when you're in med school, your classes are 8 to 5 every day. You're going in, nobody's checking on you, nobody's seeing if you understand the work. You have to be very self-motivated and self-driven. So even when I applied, the things I applied for were I want to be able to help people, and I want to know that I'm not going to be bored. So I need to continually like motivate myself in just by the nature of the work. So I actually did accounting,
really?
teaching,
Okay.
and then medicine. And then I got into medicine. The other thing you need to understand about medicine is it doesn't matter how smart you are. If you don't know how to take initiative, get your hands dirty, ask questions, be willing to look like an idiot. You can have all of that knowledge sitting in your head, but a lot of medicine is actually doing. It's figuring out like how to talk to people. It's figuring out how to get patients to cooperate with you. It's learning that stuff. So don't worry about studying. Look at what people are doing. And I think that's the other thing is a lot of people used to get annoyed with me in class because I was always that one like, sorry, I just don't understand something.
I have a question.
Like, it's 5 to 4 and it's a Friday. I'm like, I want to know.
I need to know, yeah.
But I knew that was going to help benefit me and probably a lot of other people who were thinking the same thing, but they didn't want to like hold back the class. And I had no problem doing that. I'm like, listen, 7 people probably have the same question on the back of their mind. And if you guys are going to think that like, I mean, I wouldn't be annoying about it, but if it was a really important question, I would ask it, right? I think the third thing you need to understand about medicine is it is a calling, but it's also a choice. So the best way I can describe it is think about yourself at 3 o'clock in the morning, right? So firstly, all you want to do is sleep. You can even when you're out partying at 3 o'clock, like 3 o'clock, you're like, okay, it's time to go home, all right? Okay, that's just some of you. Like some people are wild. It's true now. But at 3 o'clock in the morning, you have to imagine that everyone is asking for you to do something. Everybody, the nurses, the patients' families, your colleagues. You also are expected to function as if it was 8 o'clock in the morning. So you can't now dip down your energy because it's no. You also have to understand that you might not have eaten for a while because it's just so busy. And then you also have to understand that your eyes are burning because you just want to sleep.
But you must continue.
So you're hungry.
Sure.
You're tired. You're being like demanded everywhere by so many other people, and you're also burnt out. If you are willing to know who you are and why you are in that position at that moment, then do medicine. Because you can do it. You can physically do it. There's Red Bull. There's all these other like drinks that you can take. But if you don't understand the basis of why you are in that position, what you are there for, who you are there to save or who you are there to help, whether it's yourself, your family, the people that you're going to help, there's nothing that's going to make that worth it. And so sometimes a calling can also be a curse. But you can make it that. You can make it that because you're not willing to do the self-work. And I think I always tell my interns, I'm like, take care of yourself now. Because, and even my students, take care of yourself before you have to take on the big responsibilities. Because now you're covered by all of us. We've done this before. We know like how to cover you. But if you don't learn that, next year when you're on your own.
You're the senior.
And you have to make this decision. What are you going to do? And you don't want to have your mental health break then because I didn't know what to do. Do the hard work now. Like we're here to cover
This is when to do it.
100%.
Sure. So how do you avoid like, because obviously you do have those moments of I could have done more, maybe I didn't, you know. So how do you avoid the mood that you're in at work to transfer to who you are at home?
I delegate. So a lot of my life I delegate. So for example, with my studying and stuff, my family now knows that, okay, if I need to study, hubby will take the baby, my mom will come over and help babysit, or she'll go away for the weekend. And I communicate that very, like we even have a WhatsApp group and I put dates and I'm like, listen, these are the weekends I'm working, everybody grab a weekend, right? Even with my friends, I ask them, like sometimes I just need like 4 hours to sleep. Or I just need something, then someone will take that responsibility. My nanny is incredible. But even at work, like people always have this mentality that I want to show off and I want to like show them
I can do it.
But sometimes the best managers and the best leaders teach their people how to do it. And you have to do that because sometimes sitting at work and watching the team work is actually what you need to be doing. Because you're just there to make sure that person is doing their responsibility, that person is doing their responsibility. How's everybody doing? And I constantly communicate. Like, I'm just like, guys, I need closed loop communication. Like,
you seem like
can
that
you do
manager.
this? Can you do this? Is this being done? Yes, it is. I need that because I know that I will burn out. And I've done it before. Because you want to like, yes, I've got it on the floor and I'm going to be able to, no, don't worry, I'll do it myself. No, that person needs to learn
how to do it.
And me doing it is going to take that responsibility away from them. And then they're not going to do it because they're like, oh, Khanya will do it. It's fine.
Yeah.
So delegation really is the way that I've been able to like maintain the ability to do all of this stuff. But also I understand why I'm doing something. So if I feel like I'm overwhelmed, I step back and I'm saying, am I overwhelmed because I feel pressure to do this thing because I don't need to do it? It's just something I chose to do, you know?
Yeah.
Or is this actually something that I'm overwhelmed about because it's so important to what I have to do? And then that helps me understand why I'm feeling what I'm feeling. And it literally takes 2 minutes. I just take a deep breath and I'm like, what's going on? And then I'm like, okay, it's pressure. Then I call Habsi about it and I cry for like 5 minutes and then I carry on.
I love that. So that's how you also take care of your mental health then.
Definitely. People, I cry for everything. Like everything. I could be happy.
Yeah.
I could be sad.
Yeah.
I could be tired. I could be hungry. Habsi even knows, like he calls me waterworks. He calls me warmbat because that's all I do. Like
you will cry.
If I'm in a state, I will cry. So it's difficult sometimes to do that at work. So that's why I do it in the car on the way home.
It's okay to cry.
100%.
I had to learn. Like I remember growing up, whenever I'd cry, my mom would be like, "You can't cry for everything." And I got to a point where I wouldn't cry at all.
She hasn't met me, girl. I cry for everything.
Yeah, no, I think it's important. It just really helps you to tone down. So tell me, what have you learned from being a mother?
I've learned the resilience of the human like spirit. So my child, if she wants to do something, she'll get it done. Hey? And it makes me understand that I, as a mom, just have to give her the tools that she needs to get it done.
Yeah.
And I always say this, she can't read, but that alphabet hip hop song, she will find it on my phone. She knows where to go. She now knows that she needs her face to unlock the phone. So like if she wants to get it done, it's going to happen. If she wants something that's in a cupboard somewhere, whether she has to go and grab me to go and like open it, you know, so she's very like exploratory about her environment. And the other thing she's taught me is that I just need to give her things to do and she'll decide what she does and doesn't want to do. I mustn't say, oh no, she's too young to read, or oh yo, she's too young for this. I just do the thing and whatever she takes to, that's what she takes. So even now she's able to like read letters and she's able to like sing songs and all of that because we just do the thing and she takes it. And the third thing she's taught me is that beauty really, really is like skin deep because I think she's such a kind, like gentle human being, and she's such a. I always say she's such a lady. Like she's not like me. I'm a thug. Like we're good to go.
She didn't get it from mama on that.
No. I'm like let's go. But I think it's also because like the people around you. She's taught me to pray for the people around her. And that's just not just us as a family, but also my nanny who helps her out every day because she spends most of her day with her.
Yeah.
And I've had to actually pray and say, you know, God, please, this lady is leaving her family to come and take care of my child so that I can go and take care of other people's children, you know? So I understand the sacrifice she's making. So it's praying into her and her family. It's praying into the people who are my doctors, you know, the people who take care of me, whether it's, you know, my management team, it's praying for those people because I see physically what her life looks like because I've prayed for that person. So it just how you never know why, but you just have to do it. Yeah.
I love that. And do you have any like mistakes you feel you made into motherhood? Because I think with motherhood, right, it's really a learning journey and it's a learning curve as well. And I think it's in those mistakes that you actually learn, and it's in those mistakes that you get to grow as well as a person. So do you have like some mistakes that you feel you made, and you know, as you grow as a mother, you're like, okay, I think I know better here now?
Yeah. I think it's not mistakes per se because I would probably do the same thing with the information I had then again anyway because I didn't know better. Yeah. So I think it would be more like choices I made. So I think the one was when I was on my maternity leave, I tried to do like some work while being on maternity leave. And I realized that then when I went back to work, I was like missing her so much because I'm just like, no, I should have. So I think I would have spent like all the time fully with her because work is not going to go anywhere. But that time I have with her is. she's never going to be that small again. And I'm never going to be able to just completely be immersed in her, her particularly. So I think that's the one thing I would have chosen to do differently, is just focus on her completely. And I think it's like a learning journey every day. And I think one thing that I release myself of is you're never a bad parent. You just make bad choices.
That's very true. I always say that, yeah.
And even the choices you make in that moment might not be bad, because it's just the information. It's just what happened.
What you have at the moment as well, yeah.
So I think I've had to be like more gentle with myself, especially because Daddy spends more time with her than I do, just in general, just because I work so much.
Yeah.
But I think the other thing I really appreciate about like kids is like, she knows I'm her mommy. Like the minute I walk in, she's like, mommy.
Yeah,
and she comes
so
to, she's like, hello, mommy. And then we like sit and then, hello, dear, Paula, how are you? She's like, I'm fine, mommy. And then we carry on. So I think she knows that I'm her mom, and she knows that I'm doing the best for her. And even if it might not like come out as in the words, I'm doing my best. When I'm with her, it's like me and you. Even if it's for that hour, like I have to go study, but I'm here with you. And
I like that. Sure, that's beautiful. That's beautiful. And you are a great mom. I mean, I see what you do even on social media, and I see like the one thing about you is when I was introducing you, I was about to say good morning, everybody. But the one thing about you, you're not just, lively on social media, or the mother you on social media. You see it even in how you speak and how you approach things. So you also mentioned God. You seem to mention God a lot. So tell me, how has your spirituality and your relationship with God modeled how you are as a doctor, as a mother, as a friend, as a wife? Yeah.
So the first thing I think is understanding that Jesus came as a servant of the people. This is a man who's the king. He's literally God in human form. But this man had no qualms about serving people, helping children, preaching to young, old, Pharisee, he didn't have a qualm about who you were. But he also particularly understood that because I am a child of God, it doesn't matter what you say about me, because it's not going to change that.
It won't,
right? So you can treat me how you want to, but it doesn't mean I have to change how I treat you. And if I'm just consistent, so for me, that helps me treat people consistently. It says you could be, and it's so funny because when I'm at work, we'll be in a round with prof, we'll be in a round with an intern, I'll be like, wow, prof. And we'll be like chatting, like this is how we are. And it's still very respectful. If someone puts their foot down and says this is what it is, that's what it is. It's not like I challenge them because I'm disrespecting them. It's also me like engaging with them. So I think people see that and they understand that I'm there to really humble myself, but also serve the people I'm here for. I think it's also, Jesus did things. He was excellent in everything he did. The way he loved, the way he served, the way he just spoke to people. Even if you don't think it's excellent, like it was excellent. So I think it's understanding that what I do needs to be excellent, not because it's me who needs to be excellent, but I understand that God put that excellence in me. So I want that to shine through. I want that when people see like, yo, how does Khanya do this? I must be like,
true,
oh my God, and I think the other thing I really appreciate about his example is that he understood that he is who he is and the people around him are not perfect. And he didn't expect perfection of them.
True.
He just expected love. Whether they make choices, I mean, you had a whole pizza, like my bestie, my ride or die, denied me 3 times. The ghetto.
Yeah.
But he didn't say, I'm not going to love you. Because he knew it was going to happen, but he didn't say, I'm going to love you less or more. I'm going to love you for who you are. And I just want you to know that even when those things happen, you can still come to me. And I think that's one thing I love about my friends. It's like, we have people who are doctors, we have people who are entrepreneurs, we have people who are in the media space, people who don't like social media at all. But we're able to just support each other and love each other because we understand that you are in your field and that's what you're doing.
That's true.
And I think just all the people in my life, I hope that they can feel God's love when when they meet me and when we sit together. And that's why I love my friends. Like I love hanging out with my friends. Because we just speak life into each other. My family, that's just what we do. Yeah.
I've really seen how you and your friends connect.
Yeah.
I think you've just given like the proper definition of what love is, because I think sometimes we use the word love so carelessly, but it's loving people even when they're not lovable,
Yes.
just being able to extend yourself to people with everything that you have. And I see you do that a lot. You pour out I think you obviously pour out to each other, in your life, with your friends, with your husband, with your baby, and everybody around you. So you obviously are not pouring from an empty cup as well, right? So what fills up your cup?
So besides just spending time with God, even if it's for 5 minutes in the morning, it's worship music. Like I love singing, like I love making a noise and stuff. So in the car, that's what I do. It'll be just joyous music all the way. Sometimes it's even like a song that makes me like feel like, okay, I need to like really go in and feel what I'm feeling. The other thing that really helps me fill my cup is just my child. Like she's just, when she wakes up in the morning, she like just smiles at you. And the fact that she can do that every single day gives me the ability to do that. Because I've got all this stuff, but at least like I'm alive and I'm here to like, just love people.
Yeah.
I think the other thing is just having the relationships I have with the people who are in my life, but also the understanding the purpose of the work I'm doing. So the work I do is really challenging. It's really difficult. It's like a lot of brain energy and stuff, but I can now start to feel that like I'm getting better at what I do. I'm starting to understand it better. I mean, there are still things I need to learn.
You're still learning.
But it's just like seeing how senior I've become and seeing how like it's actually like it's
how
happening.
You've grown over time.
Yeah. So I think just knowing that studying more, reading more, doing more is making me better at helping people and going out and like showing people what great mental health can look like. Even when I have my stumbling blocks. I think that for me is really amazing. And then also just like hearing just some of the feedback that people give me when I run into them or when I see them, that really like fuels me and it helps me understand why I'm doing what I'm doing. So like it's actually just love that fuels me, really. Just love from everywhere.
Oh, I love that. I love it.
Thank you.
I love it. Okay, so Dr. Khanyile, you are also an author.
Oh, wow, yes.
All this that you have. So you co-authored Tidi Talks, period,
Yes.
right? So it's sort of trying to bridge the gap between parents and girl-child on menstruation, right? What inspired you to write the book? Was it from personal experiences as well, or was it just because you thought people needed to hear this?
So community health is at the heart of who I am.
Yeah.
I really love the ability to go out into community, teach someone something about health, and then they're able to teach others so that I don't always have to keep coming back. I love empowering communities in their spaces, right? So Tidi Talks was something that came about because Farah Fortune, who I wrote the book with, approached me saying, listen, we need to do something that's going to help people have this conversation in a healthy, safe way, but also like empower them, to open up and break down the stigmas that we have around menstruation. So I pulled in my friend Tandazile. She's a foundation-based teacher. She's also what she calls a change agent teacher, which I really love because she uses conversations in the spaces that she's in to really like help kids think and also ask questions at home when they go home and be like, Mommy, what is this?
Yeah.
So we got together, we wrote the book, and what I enjoy about it is we use factual terms. We don't use like jargon or like things that people might not like
understand.
Yeah. We want like the factual
to
terms
be clear.
because we think that children need to also know what it is. Because when you make something like cute sounding like a cookie or whatever, then they think it's a nice thing.
True.
Or they think it's like, yeah, this is okay.
Yeah.
But we want them to know the real factual
the reality
terms.
of it.
Because then they can say, Mommy, this person touched me here, and that's what it is. Everybody knows exactly what it is. It's a safe word, right, to use. We also think it's important for us to educate boys, girls, parents, grandparents, teachers in that space, because when we all know the language to use when we're talking about it, it becomes easier to talk about it. It's not like, your red robot is here. It's like, no, your menstruation.
Say it like it is.
Say it like it is. So in the book, we have a conversation between kids on the playground. We have a conversation between a mother and a daughter. We also have a conversation between like a health educator, Sister Zimasa, as well as Tidi Malo, who's our main character. So Tidi talks to her friends Tariq and Layla on the playground. They go through all the questions, you know, what does that look like? You know, and we just want you to see what it is so that when someone comes to you like, oh yeah, I've seen this before.
I see.
This is a really easy thing. And if someone says something to you that doesn't make sense, you're like, no, that's not true.
It doesn't add up,
Like your period doesn't last for 7 years. Like it lasts for you know, a set amount of time. This is what your cycle is. We can clearly define that, you know. We use evidence-based medicine. We use guidelines. We also have a really nice guide at the back of the book, so that parents and other people that are taking care of your child will also have questions that you can like have conversations around at home.
Oh, so even like you can read it between like your son and your daughter, just so that they're both aware of what this is about.
Yes, you should read it. And just because you are a girl doesn't mean you must only have this book. We want fathers to read it with their sons. We want fathers to read it with their daughters. We want uncles to read it with everyone. So it's a book that anybody can read. There's different characters in the book. And we just want you to be able to like open up the book and have a conversation. You can do 2 pages a day, answer some questions, chat to each other about it. And I really love the book because Naledi, our illustrator, she's now 19. So at the time she was in matric. And she did the book for us. And she also like just brought it to life so beautifully that it's just like cool to look at. And it's like, oh, okay.
This is interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to read it as well.
Yes.
You know, I never had like an issue with talking about menstruation or periods or whatever. I never had an issue with anybody. And I think my mom always used to be like, it's not everyone you have to talk about it with.
No, let's have a chat. Like, I mean, talk about it like it's a weather. Talk about it like it's a school.
It's a normal thing.
Like, how are you feeling? Are you okay with like your menstrual stuff? Like, what's going on? You know, like I think you don't necessarily have to do it like at a party. But if you're sitting with your family, at least half of the people in your family are probably going or have gone through a menstruation. And the other half know someone who are going through a menstruation. So it's important that we talk about this, right?
Yeah, I think what I needed to know as a child was, some people will start much earlier than others. Some people will start much later than others, because I didn't get the memo. And I was all over the place. My parents were worried as well. It was crazy. But before we let you go, I need to understand from a medical professional perspective, right? And you're also very active on Instagram. Is it also social media platforms? You're also on TikTok, right?
So mostly Instagram, but also TikTok and Facebook.
Oh,
and
yes.
Twitter, yes.
Okay. So how do you make sure that you're still within line with the regulations of your medical profession? Because I think with certain professions, they do not allow you to post certain things or to say certain things on social media. So how do you ensure that? And what are just some of the, what can I call them? Like some of the things that you've learned, lessons you've heard, mistakes you've probably made?
Yeah, so I mean, we are regulated by the POPIA Act. So that would be, not just for social media, but it also regulates private information, right? So I personally don't show my daughter on social media as well, because I understand that children need to be protected by the act, but also personal information, patients I encounter, people that I work with. If someone is on my social media and I work with them, I've gotten their consent. I don't just walk around posting people,
Okay.
Because I also, people, have different understandings of what they're doing and why they're doing it, right?
True.
The other thing I've learned to do more and more is I post my experience of something in a way that's going to be helpful. So I don't say, oh my gosh, I hate working here. It's so disruptive and whatever. I say, guys, you know what, I'm really tired. The system is really, really difficult. But learn to work the system. It doesn't make sense that I'm just complaining about it the whole time.
There's a lesson behind it.
But also, I don't want people to think I'm ungrateful. I really am grateful that I'm in that space. And I really see the challenges there as a learning curve as to how can I, as a doctor, a mental health advocate, as a senior leader, how can I improve the conditions for the people? What does that mean? And what information do I need to give to lawmakers and people who are watching to help us improve our working conditions, right? And I think the last thing is, I try not to take myself so seriously. So like, Listen, if I am seeing Hubsy doing something, I will post about it.
Yeah.
People are always like, why are you always posting when you're going out? And I'm like, oh, because I go out.
I mean, it's my page after all.
It's my page. Like, I'm not going to be like falling all over the floor and oh my gosh, throwing up everywhere. That's a bit much. I think there is still some decorum, you know.
Yeah.
But I think like we are doctors. We love having a good time. But I also need you to see that good time is not going to affect my work.
Yeah.
Like that time is there. I've done that. I went to bed. I slept. I drank my water. I ate my food. I exercised. I did what I need to do so that I can maintain myself for work. And I think a lot of people tend to blur that line between work and play. And as a medical doctor, I want you to see that, yes, we can have fun, but we take our jobs very, very seriously. And if I ask for something at work, like, it needs to be done.
Yeah.
And like a lot of my juniors, sometimes the first time they meet me, they're just like, ooh, and I'm like, okay. I play. But we work.
When it's time to work, we work. Yeah. I love that. And on that note, everybody, we've come to the end of our episode. It was such a beautiful episode. It was such a delight to have you, Dr. Khanyile. Please don't forget to subscribe, like, share, and comment. And also follow her on social media. I'm going to put her handle in the video as well as in the description box. So yeah, thank you for coming.